Hi, I'm Elliot Carter. I had the distinct pleasure this year of being the Black Fellow in International Policy, and I was interning at an organization called Global Zero in Washington, D.C. So Global Zero is an international organization that lobbies for multilateral arms reductions with the long-term goal of reducing the world's nuclear arsenal to zero. In addition to the DC headquarters where I was located, there's also a grassroots element, which is composed of hundreds of student chapters on college campuses across the country, like the one here at Cornell. And there's also a grass tops element, which is composed of hundreds of academic, military, and political leaders from various countries. So the basic, my central projects were social media work, writing a blog post, creating an infographic, and a little bit of administrative work. I want to talk about social media first. This was my central project. I was put in charge of the Global Zero pages for 3 websites, Tumblr, Pinterest, and Instagram. And the basic objective I was working towards was educating and expanding the audience. So trying to get our narrative out there and spread the pertinent issues and facts about our nuclear weapons. One of the big challenges of this kind of work is to work through some of the inherent limitations of the websites. So 2 of the ones I was on, for example, only let you post images. So these are the kind of things you have to work around with this kind of political messaging. The approach that I used was to try to tailor unique content models to the specific websites to work to play to their strengths, basically, so not trying to force one model for each one. I want to show you one series of images that I made for the website Instagram, which only lets you post square images. Conservative estimates put US spending on nuclear weapons at $620 billion over the next decade. With that money, you could give everyone in Denver $1 million. And it's, Portland, Nashville, they all have the same population size, roughly. So what I was trying to do with this series was to help contextualize a large number like 620 billion, which I think most people would see, and it might not be that meaningful. So I'm thinking if you compare it to something that's very tangible, and you can grasp how many people live in a city if you've been there or whatever, it would make it more meaningful to people. One interesting and unanticipated side effect of these was that since I was hashtagging each one, hashtag Nashville, hashtag Portland, they got seen by some people in those cities that wouldn't normally be looking at nuclear weapon stuff, so it sort of expanded our message to unusual places. So this Baltimore one, for example, got picked up by like a Baltimore area dating website, which took everyone a little bit by surprise. Anyway, there are different ones for different cities, and they kind of tweaked around the message a little bit, but they're all similar. So I had really positive outcomes for my social media work. On one particular website, Tumblr, I got to increase the audience growth by 40% in my 2 months, which is a record for their undergrad interns. I also left Global Zero with a couple proven content models like the one I showed you, so that future interns they bring in, they won't have to reinvent the wheel for these 3 websites. The next thing I want to talk about is writing for the blog. This was beyond the original scope of the internship, but it kind of came naturally to me after I had been doing a lot of research and independent reading about nuclear weapons and the history and the arguments for and against. And I realized that a lot of the conclusions that I was coming to could also be persuasive for other people who are new to the issue. So that kind of inspired me to pitch and write an article for their blog, which I really enjoyed because I'm big into writing and reading, so I found that very pleasurable. Another project I worked on was making an infographic for the website. This, I was originally just supposed to research it and come up with the facts for someone else, but I have a bit of Photoshop and graphic design experience, so I kind of made a model up. And they liked it, and they tweaked a little bit, and they put it up, so I went with mine, which I thought was pretty cool. This one's called The 3 Most Absurd Tactical Nukes, and it's kind of part of their narrative, which tries to emphasize the absurdity of these weapons. So those are the 3 big projects I worked on: social media, writing a blog post, and making an infographic. The takeaways from it were specifically the work with social media and writing for the blog. It increased my knowledge of political messaging, best practices, and nuclear weapons policy. More generally, though, I got a chance to hone my research analysis and writing skills, especially with the blog post work. Also, just getting exposed to the office social scene, I think I benefited from that a little bit, seeing how that's different from college. So the work with the blog post actually inspired me to go on and do student symposium this year on the same topic, which was tactical nuclear weapons in Europe. Another thing that the internship left me with was it forced me to reevaluate some of my long-term plans with education, where I saw that a lot of people at the office doing the jobs that I saw myself doing, they all have master's degrees and higher degrees. So I realized this is kind of a minimum level of entry to certain careers that I'd see myself doing. So it forced me to take another look at that. And I'm thinking that my kind of medium term, 3 to 5 year, I see myself going in that direction. Also taking a step back though, the internship really reinforced some of my long-term career goals, where I really got a lot of pride out of working on an international issue that's really important and relevant to a lot of people, and also really interesting. So I thought that was extremely cool. Anyway, in conclusion, I would like to offer my sincere thanks to my donors, Rodney and Elizabeth Black, who made this possible with their donation, as well as my Global Zero site mentor, my faculty sponsor, and the Career Engagement Center staff.